Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on October 24th, 2021 Global Technopolitics Forum's weekly meeting, weekly research meeting. So welcome, everybody. Again, we are going to have a small group. Greg is not able to join us. He's traveling today. And so it's going to be 4 of us. As you all have received a note from me, 5G project has been finally published. I don't know if you had the time to look at it. Maybe Paul, do you want to talk about it? Have you had the time to look at it?
Yeah, no, first of all, great to see the paper appear. I know that Leo and Echo have put in quite a lot of effort, and it's really thorough and extensive work. So I think, no, it's good. I mean, of course, you know, some comments or thoughts that I had previously, but, you know, those have now been incorporated into this final version. And I think it looks quite good. I mean, I think it'll get a lot of attention. So yeah, no, very good. I think they should be congratulated for all the work that they did on that.
Yeah, I think it's became quite comprehensive work. Eduardo, did you have a chance to look at it?
Hi, Pari. Sorry, was unmuting. I saw the email and I opened the link, but I think it was like yesterday that I saw it, so I didn't have a chance to read it. But it does look good, at least from the presentation.
Good. We're going to publicize it. Put on any comments?
This is a good read, Pari, I could probably say so. It has gone into several aspects and sort of looks around in a very comprehensive way. So I think authors need to be congratulated, and I look forward to going deeper from the point of view of reading it. But overall, it looks pretty good. It reads pretty fine on whatever portions I have been able to go through.
Thank you. So I think we're going to follow it with a paper on AI. What do you think? Do you guys think AI is a good follow-up on that one?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the angle or the direction. I mean, because AI, of course, is a very broad topic and a broad area. I mean, if it were somehow, so are you saying to tie? Would this be separate or somehow tied into this paper, like related to communications or related to 5G or?
As a separate paper, of course, the topic of geopolitics will be there. So it will go through everything, but I think it's good to provide this sort of comprehensive understanding of various technologies. That's my aim. And before they even start, that's why I'm asking you to see what is your vision on this?
Yeah, I don't know. I won't speak for anyone else. I'd be interested in hearing what other people think. I mean, my interest, or something that I've become quite curious about recently, in relationship to some of these technologies and also to geopolitics, is once again the people aspect. Like, you know, there's a lot of focus on the tools and the technologies, but less focus on the people. And ultimately, you need the people to advance the technologies. And I think there's a big war going on at the moment for scarce talent that has geopolitical ramifications. And that's reflected in some of the policies for visas, for international students, for, you know, there are a whole variety of different things that come into play there. So, you know, I think what you're talking about is a sort of a broader view, you know, getting some of the key aspects presented. And so I think that's quite useful and valuable. As far as the specific angle of focus, that's one that for me has become more and more important, or one that I'm quite curious and interested in, is this whole issue of, you know, the people, the scientists. Where are they coming from? How are countries, you know, implementing policies and strategies to try to attract them and hold on to them? And ultimately, as it's a bit of a cliche, but it comes down to the people.
In fact, we were writing a proposal this week, and Eduardo helped a lot. Thank you very much, Eduardo. One of the
Sure.
that's raised writing that proposal was the importance of subject. Yes, tools are available, but still the knowledge. It was a very different concept than what you're discussing, Paul. But still, that concept of people was very important. Who understand it, who is the subject matter expert. So yeah, Eduardo, do you want to discuss that?
Yeah, first I'd like to concur with what Paul said. I think there is something strange happening in the world of talent and skill sets, and I've noticed it myself. It's changed in the past 10 years. Who the individuals are that have these skill sets, where they're coming from, and also the kind of conveyor belts that are created between places in the world that source individuals that have an interest in learning these skills, places in the world that train individuals. So the many computer science departments in both the Anglosphere and elsewhere, and then the companies that hire this talent. There's especially in this past year, we've seen a real shift. First, that the certain countries like the United States are very talent scarce. There's just not people interested in learning these skills. Other countries there's something of a kind of almost a cultural cliche that's the industry you go into. And I'm speaking, of course, of subcontinent. But there's still these gatekeepers that are the universities around the world. So I think that would be a very interesting study that goes beyond the sort of tried tropes of AI and changing the world and what it means, and it gets to the facts of what the people involved in this are experiencing, and also it speaks to the industry needs. So it might also help it broaden the audience of the paper. But to conclude and connecting it to our conversations with Pari over the proposal, there's also this changing dynamic between AI experts or data scientists or computer scientists or whatever you want to call them, and individuals that have so-called domain knowledge. So it really takes both to produce something of worth and quality and value. And there's a conversation that occurs between these two walks of life, and this I think is going to be increasingly important going forward, because I've read up on this potential future in which you don't need coding skills to be able to utilize AI. There will be kind of like sort of plug and play systems that you can just kind of through an interface on your desktop figure out what it is that you want it to do, and it kind of adapts to that. And this is sort of a continuation of the coding that codes itself type of reality. So what's going to happen in that case, where we have all of a sudden an opposite scenario of what we're experiencing today, in which there's perhaps too many people that have coding skills, and given the fact that a lot of this will be ironically automated, then individuals with domain knowledge are the ones that are going to be the ones that are being hot on the market. And this is spoken to in a book called Future Proof that came out, I think, last year. And it looks at the future of AI and automation in general. You may want to check it out. It's an interesting book.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Actually, Eduardo, if I could, I'm sorry.
No, please.
No, just as a refinement or two thoughts on what you were saying. I think one is that it's the combination of domain knowledge and the AI or computing knowledge, so that you get people in these domains that are growing quite rapidly and that have a lot of potential. So I take biotech as one of them, but there are very few of these people who are biotech experts. So they've been, spent their lives at benches in biotech labs, and they know all about genes and about genetic engineering and splicing and dicing and so on, but they don't really have enough of a base in computing and computing technology to know how to take full advantage of some of these applications that AI enables. And so and of course, on the computing side, there are very few people who have, as you say, the domain knowledge. So it's sort of at the intersection of those two where I think there's a huge gap and a huge lack of people. This corollary to that is I get the feeling that, at least in recent past, more and more companies are saying, we are not getting people with the skills that we need coming out of universities because they're moving too slowly. And so quite a lot of big companies have given up on universities and said, look, we have to beef up our own training programs, and we're going to do all this internally. So that has a huge impact then if you think about students coming from other countries that come to the US to get advanced study in these areas, but then we're seeing that there's this trend towards corporations providing their own training, and they might not be so happy to accommodate people coming from other countries who conceivably, there's a risk related to the company's intellectual property and other things that they're developing. So I just wonder, maybe you're a lot closer to all this than I am, Eduardo. Maybe you have some thoughts on that, but I could see that that's a big shift that's going on. And then frankly, just with demographics, there's a shortage of students. I mean, there's a decline demographically in the number of students over the next 15 to 20 years. And so that I think will have some major impact on resources. And then there's the geographic distribution. Maybe if I think about it, Puran, this is just anecdotally, but my sense is there's an overwhelming number of people from India who have in fact these skills, or at least some subset of these skills in much greater number than a lot of other places that I've seen. I think that's due to a number of other factors. This is just anecdotal, that one, but that's just the sense that I have, that India has a certain group of people, who've probably gone through the IIT system but in fairly significant number, who've got really well established backgrounds and deliver a lot of value and are employed at quite a lot of high-tech companies across the US and in Europe and other parts of the world.
There is also, I like to mention that the online teachings courses are, flourishing everywhere. So top universities providing these courses, also tech giants are providing a lot of courses and licenses. And increasingly we see that, you really don't need to be in one of the best. Maybe it is actually much better, especially if you want to become focus on certain tools and services to be trained by these tech giants like Microsoft and Google and Cisco. They're providing a lot of online, courses, which is global and accessible by everybody. Puran, any comment?
Pari, I think what Paul and Eduardo said are very important dimensions of AI to the people and human resource and what is happening as a result of training and capacity building. And then what is happening within some of the universities and IT systems like in India. And Paul is very right, because here in India, we are really looking at AI from the point of view of its usage and application. We are not really concerned about, everything else is being supported by systems, academic, government, private sector. So they're all coming together to join hands and rally behind how people are getting trained. And I can really tell you, and I completely agree with what Paul said. Here in India, these things are now beginning to be taught at a very young age to students, as young as 15, 17, 18, so that they could probably identify their skills early on and could be sort of given a certain trajectory to going on. And India is now looking, and it all comes down to geopolitics. So one is that people and training, capacity building, is very, very important. But what to me looks even more important is the application and usage of AI. For example, Paul said it, biotechnology, for example. In India, there are medical schools which are now teaching medical biotechnology. So you are really getting a student having done his or her bachelor's, then going to a medical school and learning biotechnology and application of medicine into biotechnology. I'm not saying what happens tomorrow, but I would be more interested alongside the people dimension to artificial intelligence, application and usage, which AI is going to take upon, because nobody knows what really happens tomorrow. So COVID happens, something else happens, bio weapons are going to be made, and so on and so on forth. And then the application of AI in space and space technology, because this is where China, US, India, and India is now, you must have also read about some newspaper reports that we are also at a fairly advanced stage of coming out with our own hyper supersonic missile, which would be only amongst a few countries. So AI is something which I would be very happy to see application and what form and shape it really takes. So this is the part one. Part two is, Paul and Eduardo both said that, look, I mean, how do you really conjoin it at the cusp of, something else? I'll be very happy to see what happens to artificial intelligence when we really connect it with quantum computing. I mean, we cannot really imagine what could probably happen to AI the moment we sort of put quantum computing into it. So it's very important, therefore, to look at the future usage and application of AI, and also what could probably happen to AI amongst several other things when we really try and tie artificial intelligence with quantum computing. And if you really go to IBM website, they are really providing people like you and me some time off where we could book our spot and could go there for half an hour, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, and try and do our own quantum computing and try and see what really happens out of it. And then reflecting the future would be very, very important, because if we could probably build maybe 2 or 3 or 4 scenarios, not that what really happens tomorrow, but basing our knowledge, our information, possible technological amalgamation with AI and application, if we could really build maybe 2 or 3 scenarios, that would be a great value add to somebody like me. So I'll really stop at this place.
Thank you. Any comments? Well, thank you, Puran. That was very interesting aspects. And I think I will ask both Echo and Leo to listen to this taping, because unfortunately they're in a time zones which is quite difficult for them to join before they start their paper. So it gives them broader kind of vision of what they need to focus on. But I think AI is a good area to now for them to work in and explore. So Puran, also I wanted to thank you for the list you sent me. I don't know if you received, did you receive a note from Greg? He was going to send you a note.
Not yet, Pari. The moment I get it, then, these are the people would be very receptive to the idea of, joining hands and doing things together. And they're all doing a fairly good job of what they've been doing. So it'd be a very good idea to sort of expand both the outreach and also the work of forum to different parts of the world. So I think this is where Africa and India and some other parts, like in Europe, in Germany, for example, there's one place called Agora Strategy Group, which is being run by people who were connected with Munich Security Conference, which is one of the leading security forums, which happens once in a year in Germany. And these are diplomats and, people of that kind. So I think the very good part with this Agora is that they have been running a think tank. And then within the think tank, Pari, they have been running an advisory service. So they really monetize the work of the think tank into what the advisory group within the think tank is doing. So this is a pretty good model And I think it'll be helpful and very, very useful.
That's actually what we are also aiming, and that's, yes, very useful. In fact, we discussed with Greg the list you sent, and we are very, very happy. We're grateful that you made the list. And he's very busy with Sandia. He's in a 2 weeks kind of tour of various places. So, but he's going to write to you just his idea. He's going to write just a thank you note. But in terms of going forward, yes, please start going forward. And if I need to do anything, let me know. And for your information, Paul and Eduardo, basically, I asked Puran and I ask all of you that, connect us, be our ambassadors and connect us to any organization that you guys think it's good, useful to be connected and collaborate with. So, yeah. Any comment from anybody? Any topic that anyone wants to discuss? Well, no. Then, in case, any comment?
Just a question on the China paper, Pari. So is that something that's still ongoing? And if so, I've got a couple of references that might be of use. I can make them available, but yeah, happy to provide that.
Yeah, China paper was a proposal that we already submitted. However, we're going to write a paper on it. So that's separate thing. So yeah, I appreciate any kind of reference. It's very useful. And that China, anyway, it's going to be an issue that we have to be at forefront of it in terms of understanding it and in terms of understanding how to deal with it. So I think we should keep that knowledge, quite updated. Any good references would be useful.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah, I've come across a couple recently that I thought might be helpful. So I'll put them on the drive, in the folder there.
Yeah. In fact, I got to do a bit of organization there, but for the time being, please use that folder because I want to share everything with everybody. So you all will have what we are doing there. And, we keep on updating it, all of us together. Thanks.
Perfect.
Okay. If there is no other comment, it seems we don't have any other comments. So all wonderful ahead, and we keep in touch during the week and next week. Have a wonderful, bye-bye.
Thank you, Pari. Bye, everyone.
Take care. Yeah, have a good weekend.
Take care. Bye.